And the Trump administration is set to take a closer look at federal funding to Portland. Another big story we're watching as the city grapples with anti-ICE protests.
We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it.
Okay, so outside of Chicago, more than a dozen demonstrators were arrested at an ICE facility. Federal agents clashing with protesters shortly after Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was seen on the facility's roof. A large law enforcement presence was taking shape there as Illinois state troopers worked to maintain distance between demonstrators and federal agents. Protesters staking out the building for weeks, calling for more transparency from the agency on the conditions inside, citing safety concerns. Some groups also alleging unlawful detentions and looking to address Noem directly. Joining me now to discuss is Simon Hankinson, Senior Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Good to see you today. Thanks for being here. Okay, we've got these standoffs with protesters, and they are just escalating one after the other. So I'm just wondering if you think anything can be done by the federal government to address the tension without force, because that's one of the big questions here is how force is being used.
Well, with all negotiations, it comes down to what are they asking for? I was just looking at the footage there. It seems like another one of these unicause demonstrations. You see the keffiyehs, the masks, they've got all the riot equipment. There's probably some Palestinian flags in the background. They keep asking for things like, due process rights and, the conditions are not good. We know that the people who are put through the immigration system are given their due process under the Immigration and Nationality Act and other applicable law. We know that the conditions in these detention centers are at least as good, if not better, than those in local, state and federal prisons. So I think what they're asking for is stop enforcing immigration law. That's essentially what governors like Pritzker and Newsom are asking. They do not want immigration law enforced in Los Angeles and Chicago, and that's something the federal government just simply cannot cede on. These are laws on the books, and these officers are carrying them out.
Demonstrators have been calling for more than transparency on the conditions inside these facilities and the process for identifying who's being held there. So that's another part of this puzzle. Do you think that the public needs more information from ICE? Should that information be protected, or should it be more public?
Well, I guess it depends on what information. If a person's immigration case is usually private, it's not the right of every American out there or every journalist to know the business of each citizen in their immigration case. That's protected by federal law. So it would depend on what they're asking to do. I know members of Congress have toured ICE facilities and they've toured detention facilities many, many times to get an idea of what goes on. But I don't think members of the general public have a right to look into every federal facility at all times. That would impede officers from doing their work.
Yeah, and we're seeing this pushback play out in other states. We're talking about Tennessee, we're talking about California. Let's play you something that the Democratic mayor of Los Angeles recently said, and I'll get your take.
Around racial profiling of Latinos, which we refer to here as the hunting of Latinos, that has created a blanket of fear around this city and has had detrimental impacts to our economy. We had 2 court decisions, and then the Supreme Court basically gave a green light to racial profiling.
All right. Do you think that this is a concern? What do you think of what she said?
Well, I remember when the mayor was in Congress, and she is a little obsessed with race in general and sees everything through that lens. Half the people, if you look at the police, the firefighters, the civil servants in Los Angeles, half of them are or more of Mexican ancestry or Hispanic. So this is not a profiling incident. If you look at the Border Patrol, at ICE, at CBP, they have an overrepresentation of people whose origins are in Latin America. This is about finding people who are illegally present in the United States, not the millions of American citizens with Latin American ancestry or who are here as legal immigrants. It's about finding a specific identified population of people who are here illegally, and that's essentially what the mayor is objecting to. I don't think anyone in the community should have any fear of ICE or any other federal agency unless they have done something that they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, and it goes on, and we continue to watch this unfold across our nation. We'll continue to check in with you as well. The Heritage Foundation's Simon Hankinson, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.